Welcome back to another relay video. This one is from one of our friends at Church, and she's going to walk you through some things about social media. So why don't you take it away, Hayley?
Thank you so much for that introduction. And today I'm excited to talk to y'all about why social media is not what you think. But first, let's get to know each other a little better. My name is Hayley. I'm the Director of Digital Engagement at Church. We've got Pastor Ray Johnston, the founding pastor who leads the whole team of 7 campuses, multi-site, different teaching pastors at different locations. Pastor Ray likes his teaching bench deep, so we have a lot of amazing speaking talent there. Lincoln Brewster is one of our senior pastors, and we've got Thrive Worship, who just launched an album this past year, and it's awesome, so you should go check that out. Social media is not what you think. So the conversation in the last 5 to 7 years has been encouraging churches to get on social media, why it's an important platform, and why you must have a presence there. But since then, I think we all understand we need to be on social media. The problem is we're just not all doing it very well. And so social media is not a traditional media platform. It's a connection platform. And I think this is the biggest thing that most pastors and people miss on this platform is trying to bring old habits into a new space. And that just doesn't work. This is a platform for people to connect with other people, and that's what it was primarily built for. And then businesses saw the potential and the reach of it and got on and started using old spammy tactics here. And so let's take a look at what some of those are. You might have some bosses that are pushing some of these, and you can maybe take some good notes and explain why it's not a good idea. So traditional media platforms were, number one, information distribution platforms. And so you'll hear people say, I just want to send it to the masses, or just post something and everyone will see it. And it's not quite how social media works. Especially if people aren't interested in what you're pushing to them. Now people can unfollow your page, unlike your page, unfollow you on Instagram. Those platforms are extremely intelligent, and they have algorithms that are only going to send you the most relevant information that they think that you would like the most. And so it doesn't quite work out that way for us. Number two, traditional media platforms were one-way communication, and that's huge. That was like television commercials, broadcast, anything that's just getting one single message pushed out one way. So let's tell them what we want them to know. And then number three, it was a broad audience. And so it was really hard to target your message to a specific demographic, to a specific age, stage, part of life, to just, let's say, moms who have preschoolers. You weren't able to quite do that. You kind of got a little smarter around the programming on broadcast or traditional media to where you kind of got a sense of who your audience was, but you couldn't really narrow in too far because it was very broad still. And then number four, traditional media includes TV ads, radio, direct mailers, billboards, cold calls, banner ads, and print media. And while a lot of those are still in existence, they have their purpose for their place. If you want to reach anyone that is Gen X or younger, you're going to have to change how you do it and how you can look at these new digital and social platforms. So social media is great and unique because it puts a name to a face. It puts a person to a profile, and it's an open line of communication between you and your church. Unlike any time ever before, the only way anyone could even look you up was through a directory and then finding a phone number and calling that one admin or secretary who answered the phone, and they are the front lines of your church. And we're so grateful for them. But now people can just go on Yelp, they can go on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Hopefully you have a presence there and get all the information they need to know to make an educated decision on whether they want to stop by your church and check it out or not. Social media is also not new. Seriously, it's been around for like 15 plus years at this point. And this is kind of an exaggerated social media evolution timeline, but let's just go with it. So in 2004, Facebook was founded by Mark Zuckerberg. Fast forward a couple of years later, in 2006, Twitter was created in San Francisco by a pair of guys. Jack Dorsey is one of them. And then in 2017, the church finally discovers Facebook fan pages and thinks that every single ministry and program should have a Facebook fan page. Now, I am being a little sarcastic, but not really, because every ministry does think that they still need a fan page and are a little bit confused about what fan pages are and what they have to offer. Social media is also not the last place people look to find your church. Actually, it's one of the first. And we talked about this a little bit ago with the traditional media platforms of people now like looking on social platforms as their first impression of your church. And so you want to make sure that that's a good first impression that they're getting. Here's something to remember. Social media has successfully broken down barriers between you and your community. You just need to be a good steward of what your community is experiencing when they come to your site. So first of all, does your social have curb appeal? Like a minute ago, I mentioned every ministry thinks they need a fan page on Facebook, but they don't, because social media fan pages for your church is like the front porch of a house to your church. You only need one front porch to make a good impression. Then inside you have the rooms of your house, and those are all different things like Facebook groups for each of your ministries. Ministries are groups that exist inside of your church. A fan page is the front porch to your church. Groups are those rooms inside your church. So the first thing they should be discovering is your main church's Facebook page, not a ministry that's like so far into the weeds. That should probably not be their first impression of your church. Now, what do I say when I mean community? There are these concentric circles that I learned in my time at Saddleback Church with Pastor Rick Warren. It comes from the brilliant book, Purpose Driven Church. But he breaks down the different levels of your audiences, and that starts on the outermost circle of the community. And that's anybody who lives in the community where your church lives. It's everybody within that city. So this is Sacramento. For us, Bayside, we have 7 locations and around the Sacramento area. So anybody living around here is part of your community, whether they come to your church or not. Then you have the crowd, and that's anyone who attends your church on a weekend, which is really cool because it makes for really great shots like this. Like, yeah, you see a crowd and there's lots of people outside and in the parking lot and all over the place. But the scary thing about a crowd is that they can attend your church regularly, once a month, let's say 2 or 3 times a month, and consider themselves members of your church without actually taking any step of commitment. So it's important to have a grasp on who is in your crowd and how you can move them further into commitment levels of becoming a little more faithful and dedicated to your church. Next, we have the congregation, and that's anyone who takes a first step of commitment into your church. Maybe it's via membership. At Bayside, we have Growth Track, and that's just discovering and learning more about our church and then about your gifts and how you fit into that church. But Growth Track is how we get those people from the congregation, from the crowd into the congregation. Next, we have the committed, and that's anyone serving in a ministry, attends a midweek event, is a member. Maybe they're starting to tithe and they're now in a small group. So they are committed and they're coming to extra midweek events. Maybe you have a night of worship or a night of prayer. The committed are now like a little more, they're much more bought into your church because they're invested in it. And then in the middle, you have the core. And these people can probably explain any ministry of your church better than you as a staff member, like maybe high-level volunteer. You're part of the core. They lead ministries. They're actively inviting people to come to church. And they're like supporting all the swag you put out there for Christmas and Easter. And they are just super sold out. These are the people that you can highly depend on. So it's important to identify them as well. There they are. The problem is, as communicators on these digital platforms, oftentimes we don't know who we're trying to reach, and we have ministries creating platforms trying to reach every level of the community, crowd, congregation, committed, and core, when I know at Bayside that we know for our social channels can reach out to the community, so we're responsible for that on our social. They can bring people into the crowd and like start to dip into congregation. So that's those announcements where we're moving the crowd to the congregation. Anything past that is handed off to our ministry teams for them to communicate to that group of people. I know that I'm not trying to communicate right to the core. There are different channels that we have set up for that. And if we start focusing most of our attention further into the circles, you're going to lose your reach to the community and to the crowd because they're not there yet. Does that make sense? So this is a key point that our team works on and operates on and focuses on at Bayside, that engagement drives attendance, not the other way around. This was one of our just silly posts of Abbey Road of 4 of our senior pastors that they all spoke together one weekend and they were all going to be there at the same weekend. So we just did a fun post like this on social media with this big like bobblehead look, and it got some of the highest engagement on our channels, and that helped drive a lot of people to our service on the weekend. And this is really big too for like leadership to understand, is that attendance is not driving engagement at your church necessarily. Like you want to have people highly engaged and bought in on your social channels, feeling that they're a part of something, and then that makes them want to invite more people into your ministry, into your weekend services. So here are some 4 game-changing moves that I think that you should try at your church if you haven't tried yet. This will help you stand out above and beyond the rest. One of them is messenger bots. Messenger bots are the new black. So this comes through Facebook Messenger platform, and messenger campaigns have been proven to have a higher open rate than email. And so more people are checking and clicking on these interactive type messages than they would in traditional email. And so this is just an example of one that we have set up. We use ManyChat. And ManyChat is really great they have so many options on there. I don't even think I've explored all of them fully, but the one that we like to use, this is just a first touch for people who message us and we haven't interacted with them yet. They'll get this response back. It says, "Welcome, how can we help you today?" And ManyChat has 3 possible options. You can't do more than that because you don't want to, there's science behind it. You don't want to confuse people with analysis of paralysis. But the first step is speak with someone. And if they click on that, they'll get the phone number to call our front office and speak with someone immediately. And I have to say that is our most clicked on response of all 3. The second one is get prayer. Sometimes people just need prayer, and that'll send them directly to a spot on our website, or they can submit prayer to our prayer team. And then the last one is learn more, and that'll just take them to our website where they can navigate what they're looking for and just learn more about our church. And so I think it's really important. People want to know they're taken care of and responded to. And so this is just a good way to make sure that they are, because every church should have messenger messages turned on their fan pages. If you don't, and you're using the excuse, "I'm just one person, I don't have enough time to respond to everybody," I totally get it. I'm one person, I have another person helping me, but we don't have enough time to respond to all of the messages that we get. And so this is one way to help make sure that you can respond to everyone, because you have the help of a messenger bot. We also use these during to put out some great content that we think people would really enjoy seeing or could learn from. We had Luis Palau speak at the beginning of 2018, a very special message about thinking about what life after death looks like for him as he has stage 4 cancer. And it was just really moving, and it's like a deep conversation that a lot of people are afraid to have, but he presents it in such a way that we felt like people would love to hear it. And so we just attached a link to the YouTube video of that message and put it in the bot. And it was just we only used one option as a response where they could click right to watch the message. And that message has like overwhelmingly a lot more views than some of our other messages. So great content, great interaction, and just a great way to share that content in a new way with people. All right, moving on. Showcase user-generated content when you have events like Christmas or Easter, or if your church does special conferences. anything kind of out of the ordinary. People love to see their own photos on display. And so we use Tagboard, and that is a great tool that helps aggregate all the photos that are posted on a hashtag. You can do it from YouTube, from Facebook. We've just done it on Instagram and Twitter here because that's where we found the most people posting to. Instagram by far, as you can see. But it just pulls it up and it has a set of different displays. I believe ProPresenter has their own version of this now too. So if your church uses ProPresenter, that's a great option for you. And yeah, just pull it from a hashtag. I would recommend having someone moderate that because you have some people posting silly things sometimes that you probably don't want your entire church to see. But this is just great user-generated content that you can feature before or after, or maybe if you take breaks during events during that time. And who doesn't like to laugh? I think as the church, we highly underutilize laughter as a tool to engage with people. And we're already talking about faith, which is a pretty serious topic. And a lot of people are coming to the church when they're in crisis mode or they're struggling or grieving. And sometimes it's refreshing to just be able to laugh. And so check out this video that we did just to lighten the mood a little.
We're doing church Yelp reviews, man.
Yes, Jason. We're going to be looking at the things people wanted to say so badly they had to tell the whole world on Yelp.
About church.
About church.
Man, I'm telling you, this consumer society is just ridiculous. You want to read the first one?
Yeah, man.
All right, this is the first one.
Take a look.
There are several reasons I don't like this church. First of all, there used to be a lot less traffic around the area of this huge church. I grew up in the area, and it used to be that this was a small, quiet town. Now it's full of big SUVs driving to church. First of all, the SUVs ain't driving to church. It's only minivans. Every Sunday, plus every other day, they have an event. Thank you for that.
There was no second of all.
There was no second of all. Exactly. She
That's
said first of all,
really
but there's
main
no
reason.
Right. She's mad that there are SUVs in the truck.
Man, that just sounds like they're self-conscious about their car to me.
That's definitely a church in Portland.
My complaint is I wish parents would supervise their children a little bit better. Is this about... Are we sure this is from a church?
That's a good question.
I wish they had supervised their children a little bit better while they're here. We've had issues of kids fighting, knocking over trash cans, and no parent can be found.
Yeah, that's a church I want to go to.
I still just that's just having kids.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
That's what it sounds like. This is one of my favorite reviews. This one. It said of the church. This was one of the creepiest places I've ever been in my life.
That's definitely a church review.
What kind of creepy stuff happens at church though? It's like Momo showed up. You know who Momo is?
No,
everybody was scared of Momo a couple weeks ago.
Not
so much anymore.
I'm not connected to that.
Okay, don't worry.
But I want to know why life is in all caps.
So that was just a fun video that we did to help our church just laugh, and it had really high engagement because it was funny. All right, and then something else that you can try is fessing up when you mess up. So you messed up, own it. We had a few, tech always works great, but sometimes it can be most frustrating. And we had a few issues on our Facebook Live feed. And a lot of people have been depending on that as their way to connect with the church if they've moved out of the area, or we just have a pretty global audience and national audience at Bayside that is outside of our area. So they really kind of lose it if anything happens and they can't watch the feed, which is understandable. But something happened with our 9:45 service and the audio wasn't quite working, or maybe it was the video shot. I couldn't remember. You couldn't see or hear. It was one or the other, the feed. And so it was bad. We just decided the quality was not good. People weren't able to receive the message. So we pulled it down and just let people know, hey, everyone has issues. We have ours. We apologize for the sound issues on this morning's live stream. We'll have it fixed and back up and running for tonight's 7 p.m. service. See you then. And we got really high engagement on this post because people appreciated us acknowledging there was an issue and us knowing that we were working to solve the issue, and then communicating a time when they could come back to watch it. And we had the most viewers on that Sunday night Facebook Live than we've ever had. And so it was just a really big win for us and for our viewers, knowing that they were taken care of. So yeah, don't be afraid to communicate when you're struggling and when you have those issues. So this has been a really great chat on what social media isn't, and then some game-changing moves you can do on your channels. I'd love to stay connected with you. I'm Hayley Viteris on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you send a follow and maybe a little message, hey, I heard you on the relay.church webinar, just let me know, and I would love to connect with you. So thanks so much, guys, and have a great day.